Now, what could have persuaded one of the world's most reclusive superstars to grant an interviewer and a camera crew entrance into his life? Now, according to Jackson, it was to answer many of the important questions that tabloids and fans have been speculating about for years. As you've seen, not all of those important answers made it on the air. And as for the not-so-earth-shaking ones, well, they were edited out too, like the whereabouts of Mr. Jackson's former constant companion.
Where is Bubbles now?
Bubbles is, he's with a caretaker with like 40 to 50 other chimps, because chimps, they get to an age like teenage kids do, where they want to challenge their parents. Like if your father tell you to do something, you go, why? Why do I have to do it, Dad? And chimps are very much like that too. They'll challenge you, and it can become dangerous in a way, you know. And if they get angry with you and decide to take you on, it's no match. I mean, they're very, very strong. If they can take your finger off. They're very powerful.
But while Bubbles was living at Neverland, Bubbles, the other animals, and Michael were virtually inseparable.
Many people made fun of me with my animals, you know. If I come home from a hard day at the studio and I come home to my deer or my chimps, and I can hug them and they don't ask you anything, they don't complain, you know, they don't gossip. They just want a hug and some love and get on with it. You know, where's the pizza? Whip out the ice cream. Because the chimps, they love snacks. And, you know, they run around and they help me clean the room and they help me fix up things, you know, and their DNA is literally identical to ours if you look in the microscope. And they're amazing.
Chimps would help you clean the house?
Yeah, they help me clean up my room. They help me dust. They do windows. They flush the toilet after they use the bathroom. And
you let the chimps use your own bathroom?
Sure, yeah, of course. Bubbles would go himself. He'd sit at the table and he picks up his spoon and his fork and he eats, and he's very polite. They're very intelligent.
While in Berlin with Jackson, Mártin Basír was invited to accompany Michael and his two children on a trip to the zoo. But because someone had evidently tipped off the press, the paparazzi were out in force, causing chaos and a potentially dangerous situation for the Jackson family.
Do you know it took us 3.5 hours to get in and out, and we spent 4 minutes in front of the gorillas? It was chaos, Michael.
Yeah, it was chaos. You filmed it, right?
Yeah. I was in the middle of it. Our cameraman fell over.
Yeah.
And at one point, Prince got hurt by someone's umbrella.
Yeah.
Do you really think it was worth the pain of 3.5 hours for 4 minutes in front of the gorillas?
Well, I'm not a foreseer of events. I'm not a soothsayer or a prophet of any kind, but I didn't know that was going to happen like that.
As you've seen and heard from Michael's behind-the-scenes camera of Bashir's interview, Bashir seems to express a genuine concern for the welfare of Michael's children and raises the question as to Michael's apparent lapse of parental judgment.
Bashir comments, "It was no kind of trip for two young children, and everyone could see it, but Jackson himself."
But what Bashir doesn't include is Michael's explanation that Michael was informed that the zoo would be closed during his visit.
I go to the zoo all the time. I go usually when they close it down. And they told us this would be closed down, and they didn't. They left the gates open, and fans and people start pouring in.
Well, in fact, what the owner said, because I was there, he actually said that his view was, at the end of the normal opening hours, he would have closed the zoo and then just opened it for you and your family. But you decided not to go then. You wanted to go in the day rather than...
It's not true.
Is that not true?
It's not true.
That was what he said.
I wouldn't want to go in the day, especially if I have a problem with the sun.
Well, it was winter in Germany, so it wasn't...
Yeah,
it wasn't
nighttime would have been much cooler.
Yeah. But wouldn't it have been better to have gone at night?
Yeah.
So why didn't you?
I never knew that was the proposal. I thought we had a slot and that was it.
This was like just a misunderstanding from the zoo part and, you know, Michael's people, and they thought the zoo's going to be closed, but it wasn't. But that whole thing was not a big deal. I mean, He goes through that all the time.
Coming up, Michael's video cameras capture a very revealing moment.
So they're so quick to call you strange and weird, but it's almost as if you're forced to be different.
Michael's father reacts to Bashir's special.
Well, one of the things I can see this man tried to do, he tried to pin something on me where I was real brutal.
What caused the surgery the other special didn't tell you about?
He was so badly burnt on the top of, the whole top of his head caught fire right in front of my eyes.
The devastating disease that Michael claims turned him porcelain white.
Said I was putting on cream to make myself lighter. That's not true. I did a light.
And friends of Michael who were forced to leave their home. All when the Michael Jackson interview, the footage you were never meant to see, continues. We'd like to remind you that while Michael Jackson provided much of the footage you are seeing tonight, he has absolutely no editorial control over the content of this program. In the past hour, you've seen a British journalist ask some tough questions.
What hurts you most?
When they lie, the lies, they're complete lies.
And some tougher questions.
You had sex with Debbie.
Yes.
I know that's difficult for me to say because you're so embarrassed.
You're about to hear Michael Jackson's family rally around him, voicing their support.
They can go and talk to these children all they want. They're not going to find anything. What they need to do is leave him alone.
And voicing their disagreement.
I hear Michael saying that he's lonely. But back in those days, Michael had his brothers. He had all his brothers to play with.
You've seen Michael's ex-wife come forward for the first time with expressions of emotion.
I've never seen that happen. And that's what made it wonderful for me.
And expressions of strength.
I do not leave my children. My children are with their father, where they're supposed to be.
But most of all, you've seen Michael Jackson's own private cameras catch the good.
I think God outdid himself when he created children.
The bad.
If you dangle blanket over a balcony, you are going to be severely criticized.
The strange.
You let the chimps use your own bathroom?
Sure, yeah, of course. Bubbles would go himself.
And the strangely human.
I am Peter Pan.
Oh, you're not your Michael Jackson.
I'm Peter Pan by heart.
But what you've seen so far is only the beginning of the Michael Jackson interview. The footage you were never meant to see.
Oh, baby, give me one more chance. Show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart?
In addition to revisiting the interviews with Michael Jackson that were contained in the ABC special, we've also asked members of the Jackson family to comment on the information that the special chose to include. While the Jacksons are a very supportive family, not all of what they have to say is in complete agreement with Michael. And many of the comments you'll hear have never been revealed publicly until now.
We tried to get above all of this, the way of being united together. We don't like what some of the things are being said out there, but when you're number one out there all over the world, you get those kind of pot shots at you at all times.
You've been so successful and you've amassed so much wealth. You never need to work again. And yet you don't seem to be able to enjoy it. It seems that you're restricted somehow.
I enjoy it through my children. I enjoy
But I'm
it.
talking about you. You just don't seem to enjoy it.
Enjoy what?
Enjoy your success. Enjoy your wealth.
It's hard to, I can enjoy it behind my gates, but I can't go out and enjoy it because it becomes work all over again.
Working has been Michael's life from the time he was 5 years old.
Oh, darling, I was right to let you go.
And as we've already seen, missing out on his childhood continues to affect him to this very day.
You often seem very lonely. Is that true?
I used to be very lonely, painfully lonely. So you have no idea. I used to walk the streets looking for people to talk to.
I hear Michael saying that he's lonely, but back in those days, Michael had his brothers. He had all his brothers to play with.
Yeah, all of us.
Oh, and so, you know, and the kids that he bought all the candy around, he buy so much candy, and kids would be in a circle, standing around in a circle, and they all be eating candy off the allowance I had given him. But one thing he enjoyed to see those kids eating that candy, he'd be laughing.
Weren't you surrounded by your family, by musicians, by people wanting to be your friend? You were an international superstar. How can you say you had no friends?
Because those people spoke to me on a language on another level that was musical, that was entertainment, but to get away from that, to separate oneself from that, and to try to discover the fun things about life.
When do you feel lonely?
When do I feel lonely? I mean, I can be, you know, usually in hotels, when there's thousands of friends chanting, you're out in the street, they're using sleeping bags, and they're chanting how much they love you and everything, and you can't get out, you feel trapped inside, and you just cry, you feel lonely, you know? And there's all that love out there, but still you really do feel trapped and lonely, that you can't get out. And if you go to a bookstore, if you go out, if you go to a club, which I don't like clubs, you know, every book you buy, they wonder, why are you buying this? Why is Michael Jackson buying this? Why is he reading this? Or you go to the club, as soon as you go in there, every song is my song, as if I want to hear my music. And everybody starts chanting for me to dance. So it becomes a show all over again. So you can't go anywhere. So wherever you go, you know.
That's not much of a life, is it?
I know, it's difficult. And I don't want to complain like I'm complaining, because it comes with the territory, but I don't think people understand the other side that comes with it. So they're so quick to call you strange and weird, but it's almost as if you're forced to be different, because it's not normal life, you know?
I can do the normal things, go to the store and buy a piece of bread, a piece of candy or something. He can't do that. So that would cause you to become a recluse or to sort of be withdrawn.
Do you not sometimes wish that you could go to the local store and
of course.
Buy yourself some food and come back, or
of
go
course.
to a bar?
I want to go to the market, like one of those markets, and take one of those carts and throw some food in there and go down the aisle. I would love to do that.
Can you do that?
No, of course not. Of course not. I tried, and the whole place stops, you know, and everybody's chanting and getting your autograph, and it's hard. It doesn't work. That's why I love putting on disguises.
One of the disguises Michael would wear in public was from his music video, Ghost. A makeup process that took several hours and would turn him into a completely unrecognizable and very large white man.
I'll sit on a bench at Disneyland, a fat suit. I just sit there and I love it. I learned so much. Watching people, studying people's characters. And that's what I like. I like going inside. And that's the same thing with performance. You can tell right away when an artist, you can read it on her face when she's dancing. She's counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And you can see it. But that's the wrong concept for dance. Dancing is about feeling, not about thinking. So when they count, they're thinking. You feel, become the bass, become the drums, become the guitar, the strings. You just become a oneness, you know? That's very important.
But that's
real.
But that's Michael Jackson talking as a performer.
I love performing.
But that's not...
I wish I could sleep on stage.
But that's not Michael Jackson the person.